Hendrick Motorsports gave us a bit of a teaser, but Toyota Racing Development reigns supreme. That was the story of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 400 at Chicagoland Speedway, round one of the chase for the championship. My name is Matt Weaver of Racer.com, Auto Week magazine also of AutoWeek.com, and that was the opening salvo of the chase for the championship. The shots have been fired. Martin Truex Jr. goes to victory lane, steals one on a late restart from Chase Elliott, and we got some storylines out of this. It wasn't the most exciting race in the world. It was Chicagoland, everything that we'd come to expect of Chicagoland. You know, a downforce track, a mile-and-a-half speedway, but there's certainly some narratives. First of all, I guess we'll start with the winner. Martin Truex Jr. was proclaimed to be the favorite pretty much by everyone, including the defending champion Kyle Busch, and he proved it. He ran solidly, top 10 all day. He recovered from a blown tire early in the race to come back and get himself in the top 5, get in contention to win. And how this thing happened was there was a caution with 5 laps to go. Chase Elliott had this race won. He was going to victory lane. There is no doubt in my mind about that fact. But you know how these races are. Sometimes there's a late race caution, and in this case it was Michael McDowell blowing another tire 5 laps to go, and it set up a very fascinating restart. This thing could have been a disaster, y'all, because what happened was you had Casey Kane, Ryan Blaney, and Carl Edwards stay out on 20-lap old tires, and then you had Martin Truex Jr. actually beat Chase Elliott off of pit road, and they're going to restart 4th and 5th. But luckily everyone minded their P's and Q's, and it was a safe finish. Chase Elliott really didn't get going on the bottom, and Martin Truex did on the outside and followed the high line all the way to Ryan Blaney and around him. You know, we knew that the 78 team would be the one to beat, and that was the case again today. Chase Elliott, who is typically hard on himself, was not. He said, you know, growing up in short track racing, watching NASCAR races his whole life with his dad, Bill Elliott, you come to expect these things. So Chase was unusually easy on himself as we got the trucks driving by here at a rest area in North Indiana is where I decided to record this thing for the scenic atmosphere. But there was some controversy. The 78 team, the race-winning car, Martin Truex Jr., failed post-race technical inspection, the laser inspection station, as did the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, who led a race-high 135 laps. Now, the interesting dichotomy here is that NASCAR, with its new policy, its newly written rules, declared that the 78 did not fail the laser inspection station to such a degree that it would result in an encumbered result. So he gets to keep his win bonus. He is advancing to the second round of the chase for the championship. He's going to suffer a points penalty, a fine, but who cares because he's in. Now that's controversial because the 48 basically had the same penalty. He didn't win. He's going to get a similar points-paying monetary fine, and it's going to damage him probably big time. Let's say it's 15 points. That means that's 15 points he's got to get back in the next 2 races or win a race, because you only got 3 races in this first round, and you know, if you can't recover in time, you're going to be one of the first ones out. Luckily, he's decent at New Hampshire. He's really good at Dover. He is the favorite to win this race in Dover. But is that fair? Is this system fair when you can have 2 guys basically guilty of the same crime, and the winner doesn't have to pay for it, but the guy that finished 13th does? I don't know. NASCAR wants to be fair. That was the reason why they came out with this new rule, the encumbered result. And this is probably something they're gonna have to take a look at, because the lesson of the story is don't fail post-race laser inspection during the chase for the championship unless you can win. And I'm not sure that's the message that NASCAR wants to send, because that basically encourages cheating. So I expect we have not heard the last from this system and this conversation yet. We touched base on Chase Elliott, good run. Ryan Blaney, the first guy not in the chase, in the top 5. So good on him. Kevin Harvick, that's the story we need to talk about. Kevin Harvick, the 2014 Chase for the Championship champion. Lap 49, the first green flag series of pit stops. He's one of the first ones on pit road, and then the caution comes out right when he finishes his stop. He is 1 foot away from crossing the start-finish line, but the caution trapped him 1 lap down, and despite having the fastest car from my eyes, from my vantage point, he stays a lap down the entire race. He finishes 20th. And that's a big-time blow to his championship hopes. But more importantly, Harvick was not happy. He was not happy Harvick. He got out of the car after the race, after finishing 20th, and we did what our jobs are. We surrounded him and tried to ask him questions, and he just starts walking towards the motor coach lot. And me and several others, Jeff Cluck, Bob Pockris, Jordan Bianchi, Brian Eberly, kept asking him questions. How do you feel about it? What's going on? Can you recover from this? And true to form almost, Harvick ignored every single one of them, kept the same stoic expression on his face. He's mad, y'all. And I'm not saying I blame him. I'd be pissed. I would be livid. He wasn't wrongly put a lap down, but you would just figure that as fast as that car was, they would find a way to get back on the lead lap. And once they lost that lap, that car got ill in a hurry. He already had to start at the back of the field for a pre-race body modification that was unapproved by NASCAR. He drove himself all the way to 7th place at the time of his pit stop that trapped him a lap down. So they thought they had a good car. We thought he had a good car. And for them to be unable to get back on the lead lap, that's the root of their frustration. So it's going to be interesting to hear from Kevin whenever it is that we hear from Kevin. But as it stands, they're 1 point outside of a transfer spot. I think they're going to be okay. But they've used up their 1 mulligan. This is it. They can't have another problem at New Hampshire, another problem at Dover. He's going to find himself, just like he was last year, in a must-win situation at Dover. Luckily for him, he won at Dover last year, so lots of interesting stories. Kyle Larson did not have the day they wanted to have. Chris Buescher, to quote Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were, and no one let them off the hook. They stayed firmly on the hook. They finished outside of the top 25, and it's going to be a struggle, just like we knew it would be, for them to advance to the next round of the chase. So let that truck go by here. A bit of a boring race, but it wasn't hurting for storylines or for narratives. And I'm excited to go to New Hampshire next week. It's my first time going to New Hampshire. Certainly lots of storylines to follow, lots of people in an early sense of desperation. And it's going to be interesting to see what the penalties are for the 48 team, and to a lesser degree the 78 team. They can appeal. It's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do and get closer and closer to this first cutoff at Dover. So check out racer.com. I work there. My work on autoweek.com. My Twitter account at Matt Weaver SBN, Facebook Matt Weaver Motorsports, and we'll have a lot more in the coming days and hours. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the race or enjoying the chase for the championship, and we'll catch up later in the race weekend, later in the weekend, and talk to you guys later. Deuces. Much love.